And you got me that way, and I'm wondering if I came on too strong. Walking side by side and backwards down the stairs, all wrong.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the Blue Collar Business Podcast. We're here for episode 6.
Hello.
Grant, what is this show?
This is the BCBP.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
We're here for another episode. This time we're going to be talking a little more specifically about our jobs day to day. We thought it would be helpful to describe some of what we do. We're handymen generally. We do like some contracting work, but we're not contractors. Definitely not under the law. We're not contractors.
Yeah, I've never signed a contract.
Yeah. So we're not contractors, but it feels better to say contractor than handyman.
Yeah.
Handyman feels kind of classless.
Does it?
I don't know. I feel that way. Maybe I shouldn't feel that way.
Have you seen there's like a South Park episode recently where like the richest guy is a handyman and he like runs
Really?
the town? Yeah.
I love that.
So, handyman
That's the
are
way
like,
it should be.
They're back in business now.
All right, I appreciate that. Get some respect for us.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so we do like handyman work, but we thought it would still be helpful for our listeners to hear like what it looks like day to day, some of the jobs that we've done. Generally for people who maybe want to start their own business, just get a feel for what they might be doing. And for other people that maybe are just interested in how some of these things work, because maybe they don't even understand how their home or their apartment, wherever they're living, works, how the power works, how the plumbing works.
Yeah. When we were like talking through ideas for this episode, we just kind of landed on like, just some basic questions about like how your home works, like how the utilities in your home work, or just basic questions people might have.
Yeah.
And I also had some questions for you about like drywall and stuff, and maybe more specific things like that.
Yeah, and I got some questions for you about plumbing too. So
Yeah.
we're still learning from each other,
Mm-hmm.
and from YouTube definitely. So let's start. Before we get into that, let's start with our first question of every episode.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So what have you been working on, Grant?
I'm still working drywall. I'm finishing it up. It's
So this is the same job you mentioned last episode.
I added a little bit. There's some more drywall to be done. So it's taking a while, but I'm nearly done with it. So
Nice.
I think I'm actually, today's Friday. I think tomorrow I'll do a little bit of work and I might be done with the drywall portion of it. And then Monday I'll paint.
Beautiful. So you're working Saturdays. Wow. Look at you.
Yeah, I just want to knock it out. I just want to be done with drywall.
Last time, so this was a week ago that we recorded our last episode, and you told me you'd be done in 3 days. So
Yeah.
I guess that didn't happen.
No, I mean, there's a couple days this week where I only worked like a few hours, so
Oh, okay.
it was like slow going. Also, I just needed a break because like my arm was like in pain. Like
From using
like one of the
right
last
arm
days I
on
was
drywall?
working, I like hurt my shoulder just from like doing drywall on the ceiling. So I needed
Dang,
to
that's
rest
rough.
it. Yeah.
How'd you handle that with the client? You just tell them that you hurt your arm,
Yeah, I just needed a break.
and they're pretty understanding.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, that's been my experience usually. Like if I'm sick or if something happens, people are very understanding. Sometimes I feel bad, like I'm gonna lose credibility with them, but they're like, "Oh yeah, definitely, like heal up or whatever you need."
Right.
People don't generally care.
Yeah, so I'm still finishing that up, and it's going okay. Doing texture tomorrow will be the last thing. So
And how much money are you making on this job? Is it going pretty well financially?
yeah, I think I'll still be making like $40-50 an hour.
Hey, that's
Maybe
pretty good.
no, not 50, but maybe like
40. Hey, a lot of people would be happy to make.
yeah, I
$40
think
an
like
hour.
30 to 40. So yeah.
I wonder what you think on average that you make. Like, think of 2023. How much do you think you made on average? An hour.
An hour?
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, you just did your taxes, so maybe you
Yeah.
have some kind of idea.
I think it might have been around, probably on average, maybe like 30.
30. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
That's close to how I was operating, I think. Because some I made really good money, some I made really bad.
Right, yeah, it's like on average 30, but some of them were just barely making minimum wage, and other days, I was making great money.
Yeah.
Making lawyer money.
Lawyer money.
Not really, not that much.
was talking to an accountant a few weeks ago, and he told me that he would charge $200 an hour for like consultation.
Holy cow.
I was like, man, that's some money I'd like to get a hold of.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I could ever get away with charging that.
Yeah, I don't think
I
so.
don't think it's quite possible. All right. I've been working on today went really bad. I had a job today, and it was a drywall job. I mentioned this on the show last time, that some people had messaged me about doing a ceiling repair, and I didn't really want to do it. And then I said that if they said yes to my highball estimate, then I would still do it.
Right.
And they said yes.
Okay.
So I'm doing
You're
it.
doing it.
But it's a disaster.
Oh, no.
So they sent me pictures. I didn't actually go look at it in person, which I probably should have, but I don't know. I don't like, it's like kind of a lot of time to go out to see every estimate. So I like to just do pictures when I can, but sometimes it gets me into trouble like this. It looked to me like I was just going to have to rip out some of the old tape because the ceiling was leaking, and they fixed the ceiling. So I thought it was a kind of minimal leak, and I was just going to have to rip up the old tape and put new tape on there and then slap some mud on. But it was huge. Like the damage was like 4 feet wide, and it was really bad.
Like, what's the like total, I don't know, square footage you think you've had to like mud?
I mean, I didn't even get to mudding it. It was a nightmare.
Oh,
I was putting plastic up and trying to cover everything. Yeah.
Oh, that's annoying.
It was a rough day. And I got started late. Anyway, like I said, I thought this would be pretty straightforward, and it was not straightforward.
That's too bad.
So, yeah, that was that.
Wait, did you even start like the demo work yet? Like ripping out the old tape?
I did a little bit, and then I was just overwhelmed, and I gave up. Yeah.
That's like how the drywall I'm finishing up now started. It was like, I thought it would be super easy. You started ripping out the tape, and the whole ceiling was like crumbling to pieces. So,
yeah, maybe this would be a good example for people to hear, because we talk about how great it is to run your own business, but this is one of those days where I am not happy.
Frustrating.
It was really frustrating. It was like kind of demoralizing, because I was like expecting to get in and out of there in like 2-3 hours. And then I've been there for 2 hours, and it feels like I've made no progress, and I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore.
Wait, you're expecting to be done with all the drywall work in like 3 hours? You're that fast?
Yeah, when it was like how it's supposed to go, yeah, I'm pretty fast.
Oh my goodness.
But that did not go how
I gotta learn some drywall stuff from you, because I mean, it takes me at least a full day to do something like that, it sounds like.
Well, this is gonna take me a full day, maybe more.
Well, like, no, just replacing some damaged tapes. I think that could take me a whole day.
Oh, well, that sounds like a you problem.
It probably is.
Anyway, that's what I was expecting. That was my expectation when I went in, and it was just not that. And on top of that, somebody stole my compressor today.
What?
Yeah, I left some stuff out by my car while I went into the house. I got back, it was gone. Somebody took it.
That's terrible.
furious. So that
would
was a rough
ruin
day.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That would ruin your day for sure.
I was supposed to be there. I was supposed to work till like 4:30, and then it was like 3, and I'm like, I'm out of here. I don't want to be here anymore.
Forget
I was
this.
just so mad about the compressor and about the job, and so yeah, not a glamorous day for the Blue Collar Business Podcast.
Sorry, bro. That sucks.
Yeah,
losing a compressor, those things aren't cheap.
Well, mine was actually, so
okay.
I bought a really junky one from Harbor Freight. It was like $30.
Really?
So
Okay.
It's not so bad. But yeah. Anyway, I still have to buy a new one, which is annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess the moral of the story is sometimes it doesn't go as planned. But I'll probably make a lot of money on this. So when we talk next episode, I'll probably be happy that I did it, because
better spirits about the job.
Yeah.
Once you got cash
once I get paid, I'll be
Yeah.
I'll be like, man, that was the best job I ever did.
Yeah.
A fancy new compressor. I bet it goes for the best. Yeah, my compressor actually was kind of junky anyway, so I didn't really like it. So maybe it was the best thing that could have happened.
Okay.
I'm trying to think about it positively.
No, that's good. That sucks.
So let's get into the episode.
Yeah, forget about that. Forget about your compressor that got
Well,
stolen, and
anymore.
let's move on.
So let's start with, I think, okay, I've heard this a lot from clients. People think I am a wizard. when I work on like light switches and fixtures and stuff like that, they're just like, man, I can't believe that you figured that out. And it, to me, it was like the easiest thing in the
Right.
world. Because I think for most people, especially electrical stuff, it's just scary and I don't even want to think about it. I have no idea how it works. And if I touch it, it'll kill me.
Yeah.
And so anybody that can fix it is like of God.
I think
You
like
know what I mean?
since electricity was invented, it's like it does seem like magic. So it's just like generations of people like telling their kids not to go near it because it could kill them because it could. But I think it's a little like overhyped in how dangerous it can be.
Yeah.
It's just generations of people getting scared of it, I think.
Yeah, we mentioned on our first episode about how we've been shocked many, many
Oh,
times.
yeah.
So
I mean-
I think some people don't even realize that you can get shocked and be totally fine.
I mean, I think at almost 100 times, like,
Yeah.
at a minimum.
And so far, we don't think there's been any irreparable damage, but
Yeah.
we'll find out, I guess. As
Well,
the
yeah,
years
maybe
go
when
by.
I'm 50 and I have like heart palpitations, I'll know then. But I
Maybe.
think I'm fine.
Tore holes through your heart.
Yeah, I don't. My eye twitches every once in a while, but that's
That's usually just
that's
when I'm on
normal.
caffeine, though.
Yeah, that's true. I do drink a lot of caffeine, so it's just that I think.
So anyway,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it'd be helpful. So I know you've done more electrical work than me. I never even go near like circuit breakers. I just don't want to deal with it as I don't know enough about it. But I know you've done some work on that, so you know a lot more than I do about
Yeah.
how things work. So
I've
maybe it
done-
would be helpful to talk about like how it works generally.
Yeah.
How dangerous
I mean,
it is.
I'm not a licensed electrician, so I've done a little bit of work, but I haven't
Yeah.
done that much. But I also, when I did the house flipping, we would bring in a legit electrician. He was like
Mhm.
60 years old. He knew everything.
Nice.
I would literally just follow him the whole day he was there and just learn all I could.
Oh,
So
he
I
was a
got
genius.
yeah, he was like a wizard with this stuff. Yeah, I mean, like you say, you're a wizard. This guy who is
He could do
genuinely like, who's the guy in Sword in the Storm, Sword in the Stone?
Oh, I forget his name.
Someone
like
in
the
M.
weird wizard guy
Yeah,
with the long hat.
yeah. Oh man, it's annoying.
Merlin?
Merlin, yeah, he was like legit Merlin.
Kind of looked
So-
like him too, right?
He kind of did. He had like kind of white scraggly hair and a beard. So yeah, he was a genuine wizard with electrical stuff. So I learned a lot from him, and I have done a little bit of electrical work myself.
Where does all the power come in from the house? Like, where does it come from?
Yeah,
Come
Yeah,
from the
so-
ground?
so just like a basic understanding of how your house electricity works is kind of what you're asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so usually in the area that we're in Phoenix, most of the houses, or kind of the west or the East Valley, most of the houses, the power comes from underground.
Okay.
And it comes from the city, and the whole electrical grid is just, I don't know a lot about
So
that.
a lot of the grid,
I know almost nothing.
A lot of the
about
grid
how
in the East Valley
functions.
is buried underground.
Most of it, yeah, almost all of it. Some of the older cities, or like areas that have been here since like the 60s, 70s, some of those get their power straight from the power lines. So it'll come, from the power line, it'll just drape all the way down to your house, like on your roof.
Yeah. Yeah, I
but-
saw some of my friends in Patchy Junction have that, where it's just coming right from the above.
Yeah, and that was like, I think how the grid started. It was coming from power lines, but now it's usually done underground just for safety.
So, if you're working on the circuit breaker box where those big cables come in, you
Yeah.
could die there, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Have you ever opened up one of those? One of the breaker
no, I'm
boxes?
too afraid.
Yeah, I mean it's scary.
I'm afraid of those and oven outlets.
Oh yeah, anything with that higher
220
power.
volts.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should be scared of those, but I.
No, you
very
should. You should.
scared. Okay.
when I was working with a guy, he said that he knew a guy who was replacing an oven,
Yeah.
or no, a dryer with a 220-volt outlet. And
Gosh, I'm scared.
as he said, as he was plugging it in, I don't know how exactly, but he got shocked, and apparently he literally like flew backwards. That's what I heard.
He survived.
I think he did. I think he lived. Yeah, but like
Oh my gosh.
like his a ton of power in those things, so you should be scared of those.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
I always treat those as though if anything happens, I will immediately die.
Yeah, and the breaker panel is like even worse because that is getting these gigantic wires that are like, I mean, maybe a half to 3/4 inch in circumference. These wires,
Like a quarter?
yeah, like the size of a quarter. That's how thick the wires are. They're huge.
So if you touch either one of those, you're gonna die.
I think so. So also in that general area, usually there's a giant copper stake that gets just like pushed into the ground. I think it's usually in that area.
Right, that's like the ground wire.
That's
that
the
actually
ground
goes
wire for
into
the house.
earth. It
Yeah.
just goes right into the earth. Right?
It goes straight into the dirt. Yeah.
Interesting.
So if that's near where the breaker panel is at, and you touch one of those large wires,
Mm-hmm.
it could go through you, through the ground, and it could, you could be the wire if you touch it, and it'll go through your body and
You
possibly
become
stop
the
your heart.
person-sized wire, not the
Yeah.
quarter-sized wire.
Yeah.
That's
So
insane.
that could be very dangerous. And also if you just touch both ends of it, if you touch like something with your right hand and then something with your left hand, that could get you too. Go
Oh
through.
yeah, that's something
through to your
everybody
heart.
should know. If you're ever dealing with electrical work, use one hand.
Yeah. That's a good tip. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're using both of your hands, you could connect like on the neutral wire and the hot wire, and then it'll go through your body and through your heart.
Right.
That one hurts. I've
Yeah.
only experienced that a couple times.
Well, we were talking about like people being afraid of electricity. Like something I always heard was like, don't stick a fork in an electrical socket,
Still probably
which
good
is
advice.
a good idea, good policy. But generally, it's probably not going to do much
Okay.
unless you're near that grounding wire, because it's unlikely if you just one of your house sockets. Usually they're like 110 volts,
Yeah.
and they just don't have the power to get through your body and through the ground. It's just too much resistance to go through that much, body and earth
Yeah.
just from the live wire. So if you just stick a fork in there, it's probably not going to do anything.
Like you won't feel anything at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you have both hands working and you stick a fork in both sides of the socket, that'll do it.
That'll do it for you. All right, I'll keep note of that.
Yeah.
Okay. You have any more thoughts about house electrical systems?
Yeah, anyway, sorry, I'm kind of rambling on here about
I appreciate
how it
it.
works, but so you get those big giant wires that come from the city, and then so the breaker box is basically just a panel of light switches. That's all they really are, is light switches.
Okay.
I mean, they function differently, but they also do kind of the same thing. They just switch on and off like a light switch does. They just break the connection of those two wires.
Yeah, lights. I feel like a lot of people don't really understand even how light switches work, but they're very straightforward. It's essentially like just a wire that goes to your light, and it's like you cut through it and then connect them again. Like that's all it's doing. It's like
Exactly.
cutting it and connecting it over and over again.
Yeah, it's like the power comes from the city. It goes to the breaker box, and let's say there's no breaker. It's just a wire that goes straight to your light, your fan or something. It would just be on the whole time. But you could cut it in half, like you're saying, and then put in a light switch, and then that light switch will either connect the two wires, so it'll run through that wire through that light switch,
Yeah.
or if you turn it off, it'll just disconnect the two wires, and they're not connected, so it's not a full circuit.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I just feel like a lot of people think it's just so hard to understand, but it's really not.
Yeah, I mean, it took me a while, I guess, to kind of figure out how, like, just basic house wiring. But it's a pretty simple concept.
Yeah. All right. Another thing I think would be helpful to talk about is a little bit basics on like plumbing. 'Cause I
Okay.
know you know more about plumbing than I do, just like you know more about electrical stuff than I do.
Yeah.
So generally, how does like the drain system and the toilet, like, can you give us a little bit of overview on that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you got like your water lines and your drain lines are the basic things in plumbing.
Okay.
So that's like on your toilet, you got a water, I just say like water input.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming straight from the city as well. It's pressurized and it fills up your toilet, fills up that tank. You press it, it'll go down, through your toilet, flush out everything, and it'll go through the drain. And usually the toilet ones are like big 3-inch, 4-inch drains.
Yeah.
And then that just goes to, it's just a giant pipe under your house that's slightly like on an incline.
And that just goes into a bigger pipe.
And it just goes
That
to a
connects
much
to everybody
larger
else's house.
pipe that's like in the street or under the street. Yeah, it's
Have you
just
ever seen anything
just
come
gravity
up from
that-
the sewer?
it's just gravity that just brings it all down. Anything coming from the sewer?
Yeah, like rats or anything.
Oh, like a rat like coming in through like a toilet or something. I've heard of that, but I've never seen
You've
it.
never seen that? I've
No.
heard somebody say that they had snakes coming up through their toilet. Isn't that wild?
That's terrible.
Yeah, that'd be like a nightmare.
I mean, I guess it could happen. Yeah. I mean, I guess animals probably live in like those larger sewer pipes. As gross as it is.
You know, something that I think most people don't know about is if you look at your roof, there's vertical pipes sticking up
Yeah.
out of your roof. What are those?
That was also what I was thinking about for your drainage. That's part of your drain lines.
Okay.
So when you flush a toilet, let's say, that's a lot of water going through this pipe all at once, and it creates, covers the whole circumference of the pipe. So it's basically creates a vacuum on one end.
Okay.
So like,
which is like how siphons work.
yeah, so it'll create a siphon. So if it does that, it'll pull all the air in the pipe as well.
Okay.
So you need vent pipes to stop that from happening, or else I'm kind of getting ahead of myself because your sinks and your toilet does as well. It has what's called a P-trap.
Yeah, that little thing. I feel like some people think it's designed to catch like rings and things that fall through your sink.
Yeah, it's not for that.
Okay.
It's for the smell, so you don't get sewer gases. Well, it's not the smell only. Also, sewer gases can be dangerous to your health because there's like, I don't know, like methane and stuff, and it's just stuff you don't want in your house. But that's what the P-traps are for. Is it creates a seal just by standing water. It's
Oh,
usually
handy.
cleanish water, so it's just standing there, and it creates a gap, or it blocks the gap so that no air can get through.
It's just beautiful yet simple.
Yeah, so it's just like a easy seal with the water that's already there. But so where the vents come in is you don't want those seals to get removed, and if
Yeah.
there's no way for like air to get into the pipes
Yeah.
from these vents, it'll pull out. The pressure will pull out all the water that's in your P-trap,
Oh, I see.
so that there won't be enough water to block off the pipe, so that
Does
then gases can leak through.
Does every drain need a vent?
Yeah,
Every single one.
usually they might be further away. Like I think toilet vents have to be like really close to where it is. It's probably like in that wall right behind the toilet.
So if my house has 2 toilets and 3 sinks, so I should have 5 pipes sticking up out of my ceiling. Out of my
Not
roof?
necessarily. They might connect somewhere. Usually they go just straight up. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
simplest, most efficient way. You don't use as much piping. But sometimes they'll connect to each other,
Oh, I
like
see.
in the
So
attic
less
or
than
something,
5.
and then they'll just go out one central pipe.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's just a way for the system to receive some air. So it's just open up at your roof. So
Yeah.
I guess maybe animals can get in through there. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, interesting. Maybe
they
that's where
they
the snakes
usually
came in.
they usually do have like covers on them, but some of them are just open. So
Yeah, the one at my house, they're all open.
a rat could just jump down in there.
Yeah.
Smells something nice. Someone
I'm
just
sure
dropped
a
in the
rat would
toilet.
love
And,
to be in there.
yeah, he wants to
Mhm.
get down there. Yeah, I don't know. Does that answer some of the questions
No, I think
about
this is great. Yeah.
basic
I
plumbing?
feel like a lot of people just don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of complicated. It's easier to like kind of see a layout. Like I've watched some videos on this, and it was pretty helpful to visualize, how house plumbing works. But that's kind of just basic.
Yeah,
Basically
I was
how
just
it
thinking,
works.
I mean, our target audience for this show is blue collar workers who want to like use their skills and make their own money.
Yeah.
But even people in these fields don't know everything about every like trade.
Right.
So some of these things are still helpful.
And most people live in a house or an apartment, so
everybody could be.
it's
benefited
helpful.
by
Like
knowing.
if you don't know, it's helpful to just know how your house works.
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
I didn't really know until I started doing this stuff.
Yeah,
I
I
just
have,
never
I have
thought
some
of it.
friends who are like incredible mechanics and like know everything about their car, but they have no idea how their house works. I'm
Really?
like, how does it not translate over?
Yeah.
But it just doesn't, and I guess it doesn't because I don't really know a lot about cars.
True. Yeah. But I think it is pretty simple. To me, it seems like it is. But
Yeah, even like the P traps are pretty archaic in a way. Like
Well,
that's
it's-
all we do to prevent sewer gas. is
that's
just
it. Like
leave
it
water
seems
sitting
so
there.
simple.
Yeah.
But that's the best we came up with, and it's super. It works, and it's
Works perfect.
super cheap and easy. There's no like added, mechanism. So it's just standing water.
Genius.
Yeah.
What other topics should we discuss?
I mean, I did have some questions for you concerning drywall.
Oh yes, shoot.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to figure out like what. This isn't for everybody that listens, I don't think, but it might get boring here.
Oh, who cares? I think someone will benefit from it.
Okay. But what kind of like I'm doing spray texture tomorrow if I
Yeah.
get to it. And I am not totally sure what kind of drywall you use. Like there's that super light drywall, there's that all-purpose drywall,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
the like mixed together mud that dries quick. Like what kind of stuff do you do for texture?
I think hardcore drywallers are going to disagree with this, but I just use joint compound for everything.
Oh, like the
Like
quick
5
set
minutes,
stuff.
45 minute, 90 minute.
Okay.
So when I'm doing texture, I do 90 minute.
Oh, okay. I've definitely
45.
used that like all-purpose kind of quick dry stuff to do entire drywall jobs.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, like, ideally, what would be the easiest? Because sometimes I've only thought about it for this job because it's like so large.
Yeah.
It's going to dry too fast, I think.
Oh yeah.
So I need something that's not going to dry that fast. So I was thinking like either that all-purpose or that like it's like ultra light. It's just stuff they sell at Home Depot.
Yeah, I've for texture coats like that have been huge. I've gotten just one of those big green tubs of
The all-purpose.
the all-purpose, yeah,
Okay.
and that worked great.
Yeah, I got the 45-minute stuff, and I started doing the job with that, and it was
Yeah.
just too much, and it kept drying, and it was so frustrating.
Oh gosh, that'd be rough.
So I went to Home Depot and bought like a bunch of different options, or 2 different options. I
Yeah.
bought that all-purpose stuff and some like ultra-light stuff, and I'm
Yeah,
trying to
that's
figure out
smart.
which one's like better to work with. I mean, I think I found like something I like use the all-purpose. I learned a lot of this stuff from the Vancouver carpenter.
Oh, he's a
Vancouver
legend.
carpenter.
Truly a legend in our field.
Yeah, that guy's great. I've learned a lot about drywall from him.
Same.
Yeah, he said he uses the all-purpose to like help with adhesion on because this roof was like falling apart. There's the ceiling.
Mm.
So I wanted something that would stick to it. So I kind of
Yeah.
mixed together that all-purpose with some of that like quick set,
Yeah.
and hopefully that works better than just the quick set. I don't know if it will, but it really needs to stick this time because that ceiling was in bad shape.
You know, I have only been doing this stuff for like 3 years max, so I can't tell you if my work was going to hold up for the test of time.
That's true. Yeah.
So I might be.
You actually have no
not
way of
the
knowing
best.
yet.
But I mean, for the last 3 years, I haven't got a call back about anything.
Yeah, I mean that's a good sign.
Yeah, but yeah, I found it's not so much the product as it is the like consistency of how you mix it. At
Okay.
least with the texture, and as long as you put primer on it, then you're not gonna tell.
Yeah, I also was just kind of wondering, like, how do I go faster? I feel like I'm so slow. A lot of the time, I
Yeah.
think I'm just mixing mud together. So I kind of wanted to get something that's not that quick set stuff,
Yeah.
so that I can just mix it in bigger batches. But
Yeah.
even that, my tools get dried out, and I have to clean them off anyway.
Well, I think what makes me fast is I'm not a perfectionist. So like my first couple coats are, I just do it fast and ugly. And then even my last one before the texture coat is not perfect. And because texture can cover a multitude of scents, it'll like
Okay.
it rarely looks good before I put the
So
texture
do you
on. I just spray it on.
do you even have to sand before you texture?
I almost never do. I use a sponge sometimes.
Oh, okay, just to knock down some of the
Yeah.
spots that might be. like something that you would sand down?
Yeah, I think that's been key for me. Is I don't sand anymore. I used to, and then I was like, this doesn't really add that much.
Yeah, I guess if you're doing like a heavy texture, like yeah, it's gonna get covered up anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I realize that, but I think I'm just too
You're too much of a perfectionist.
Yeah, that might be a problem. A me problem.
I've always.
I
known
plan
that
on
about you.
sanding it first.
Even when we worked together, it was a good balance because I would do things really fast, and you were like perfect. So you would always make sure it was absolutely right.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wasn't quite as precise.
Yeah, and when it's just me working on it, it's just like, I don't know.
It becomes your Achilles heel.
Way too slow. Yeah, I gotta work on that. Anyway, those were my drywall questions.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You just kind of, well, you gotta adapt to it. You can't just do the same thing over again. Otherwise, you never get faster. Like you gotta find ways. Like I used to mix by hand in the like whatever they call the trowel thing,
Right.
the holder. I used to mix in there every time, and then I was like, this is taking too long. So then I just got like a paint mixer, and I would just do it in a bucket. If I had to do any more than just one little trowel thing full, I don't know. What
I think that's a problem. I keep doing that. I
Yeah,
mix
it
it all.
ages,
into
and then
the
your arm
trowel.
gets tired. So just mix it with a paint mixer, and then just pour water in it afterwards, and it cleans up.
I think the
real quick.
problem is I bought that 45 minute. I need to get 90 minutes, so I have more time to work with
Yeah,
it.
90 minutes, nice. Yeah,
Okay.
those are my tips for you.
Great.
Oh, you know what? I never came up with a final question.
Oh, I didn't have
Yeah.
a good one either.
I guess we could come up with let's say the stupidest thing that a client's ever said to you.
Oof.
I don't have anything to mind either. I just came up with that right now.
Okay. Huh.
Oh, there was one time they didn't say anything to me, but I was working on this house, and these people wanted me to add an exterior door in their garage. It's just a garage wall, and they're like, "We want a door here." And I was like, "Okay, I can make that work." So I added this door, and this guy, I think he thought that I had no idea what I was doing. Like I think he was under the impression that he got a bad recommendation and I was a scam artist. So he watched
okay.
me for like 3 hours. He just sat there and watched me, and he would ask about everything I was doing and like critique what I was doing, and it was infuriating. I was just so annoyed because he was just like nitpicking everything I was doing. I was like, "Can you please leave?" So that was really annoying to me because like I hate having someone watch over my shoulder, especially if, I mean, I get it, like if you're gonna pay me to do something, you want it to be done well, but it was still like really frustrating.
Right.
But then when I was done and I did like a great job, he was like, "Wow, you're incredible!" Like they were so
He
nice
just
to
had
me
major
afterward.
doubts.
But like when they were doubting me, he was so annoying and nitpicky. But afterward, he was like the nicest person in the whole world.
Huh.
So that was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
So I ended up liking him, but I did not like him like for the first 4 hours of knowing him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair from a client's perspective.
Yeah.
Like maybe he's been legit scanned by other like fake,
Yeah.
you know.
No,
handymen.
I was trying afterward. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have been so annoyed at him because like he probably like had reason to be so
Yeah.
skeptical, but it was still annoying.
Yeah, I just thought of something. I did some tile work a while back, and it wasn't like really annoying. It was just kind of like obvious because they asked me like after I put the tiles and everything in, they're like, "So, is it gonna be like filled in all these gaps?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's gonna be grouted. Yeah, like obviously I'm gonna finish it. It's not gonna look with just like a bunch of holes everywhere. Like it looks
Yeah.
terrible now. You don't need to ask me that."
Yeah, that is annoying. All right, well, I think we'll wrap it up for today. Thank you, Grant, for all your wisdom about houses and plumbing and electrical.
I hope that made some sense.
It definitely did. I mean, I know more than the average person, but it made sense to me.
That's good.
All right, well, we'll call it a day. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
And you got me that way, and I'm wondering if I came on too strong. Walking side by side and backwards down the stairs, all wrong. Can't even read or see the signs along the road. Someone tell me which way.